The following podcast is a deep, shallow dive production.
And you're going to love it.
Okay, let's go.
All right, so I said I wasn't going to freak out that it's Friday again and say, oh my God, the weeks go by so fast, like I always do. So I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm just going to kind of move on to talking about some different stuff. First of all, does anybody follow 50 Cent on Instagram? The rapper 50 Cent. 50. If you are not following 50 on Instagram, I highly recommend you do. Because that dude is cringe-worthy in the best possible way with the things he posts. Oh my God. Like, especially now with the Diddy stuff going on. I didn't really know those guys. I don't know if he's joking or if he really doesn't like them, but holy mackerel. I mean, the stuff he posts, and then people's comments are even funnier, but basically they're like, you do not want to have 50 Cent as an enemy because that dude is relentless with his trolling. Oh my goodness. Anyway, I highly recommend you follow him if you want a good laugh. And then, man, speaking of Instagram, so I guess the entire Kennedy family, like all 80 of them or something, and this might have been during the holidays even, but anyway, it came out on People magazine yesterday and on their Instagram, but there's a huge picture of like the massive Kennedy family and then President Biden right in the middle of it. And then basically their entire family is coming out against RFK Jr. and, advocating for President Biden. And then his sister, I think her name is Carrie Kennedy, she's even like doing the rounds on the media talk circuit. And man, going at her brother, calling him a threat to democracy and all this stuff. I will say something incredibly interesting. If you have not caught, I think her name is Carrie Kennedy. Let me check that. Yes, Carrie Kennedy. Actually, here, give this a listen.
Why do you think your brother's run is dangerous?
Well, I think, this is the most important election of my lifetime. We're up against Donald Trump, who said he's going to be a dictator on day one, who lays claim to overturning Roe v. Wade, who has said he wants to change the Constitution in order to go after his enemies and his critics. The list goes on and on and on. And so we must elect President Biden, and that's where all our energy has to be.
All right, first of all, the weirdest part of that interview, and I don't know if you picked up on this, but tell me if you did. Did you hear her voice? Holy mackerel, is it genetic what's going on with the voices in the Kennedy family? Because her voice almost sounds as bad as RFK Jr.'s voice. That was weird, actually. That was really weird. I don't even know who that lady is, Carrie Kennedy, but that's the first time I've ever heard her speak. And as soon as she started speaking to George Stephanopoulos, I was like, holy mackerel, she's got the same issue with her. I forget the name of that, but regardless of the name of it, I want to know how that happened. I wish they would fess up about that. I've got my own theory. I'm not going to share it, but yeah, that was weird. And then secondly, so here's my take on the Kennedy family, basically, in general. If you don't know it, I think the net worth of the Kennedys, they're in the billions. It's a billionaire family. Now, there's a lot of mouths to feed in that family. Like literally the picture with People magazine had like 80 people in it. And, I just think that family, they just don't want to rock the boat. None of them have political aspirations outside of RFK Jr. None of them have fame aspirations. They don't really care. They just want to live their nice life and be left alone. And I think brother RFK Jr. is throwing a wrench in that, and he's drawing unnecessary attention to them that, quite frankly, they probably do not want. So anyway, I don't think their views mean anything to anybody really, but I did think it was interesting that a collective family has come out against their brother. I might have to send them all copies of my book. Chapter, I think 9 or 10 talks about personal relationships, and then I also have a chapter to family life. Maybe they can get some value off of reading that and stop being so dysfunctional.
A lot of people see the name Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on the ballot and think he's carrying on the legacy of your father and your uncles. How do you respond to that?
Well, I think, nobody competes with President Biden when it comes to carrying on the legacies of John Kennedy and Robert Kennedy and Ted Kennedy.
All right, I had to just play you that little bit. That is such a script. That is such a script. Oh my God. You know what's funny is, like, now that I'm totally into this stuff, and again, I hope you guys are a little bit into this stuff, even if you're not into it, I just think it's good to be cognizant that we're not stupid. Like, nobody believes any of that. Like, I don't think there's ever been, and again, this is not a knock on President Biden, but there's never been a remote comparison between him and JFK or RFK or Ted Kennedy, for that matter. So anyway, it's just political rhetoric, and I'm just calling it out. Got to pay attention to this stuff. All right, I'm not going to play you the rest of her interview because it was as boring as that part. But anyway, the voice, that was weird. I'm going to have to look into that more, see what she claims caused her exact situation like her brother's. All right, shifting gears. Next thing I want to talk about is, oh my God, this is going to be a little bit different take on, again, what's going on in the world right now. And, honestly, I have got to figure out a way to bring this to light better, because I genuinely think I can do some major good by really breaking down some of the things going on. And here's what I mean in particular. Like, there's insane amounts of pro-Palestinian protests going on all over the country, and especially at some of, like, the major and some of our finest universities, Columbia, Harvard, University of Pennsylvania, all these places that, again, supposedly are educating the elite student population. Now, there's a lot of craziness with getting into college these days and all the affirmative action stuff, although I think they repealed that. But I will say, for example, I had a friend and her son scored a 1590 on the SAT. 1590. I think bro may have spelled his name wrong, and that's the only thing he got wrong or something. But a 1590, he was like a 4.5 student, all AP classes, valid Victorian of his high school, National Merit Scholar, not a semifinalist or finalist, a National Merit Scholar. We're talking like the creme de la creme. Tons of extracurricular activities. He was in the Eagle Scouts. I think he was on the debate team. Anyway, he ran track. He ran cross country. Pretty decently well-rounded kid with, again, the academic portfolio second to very few people that have probably ever gone to high school, right? And he applied everywhere, all the Ivies, all the major places, and got into none of them. Like, literally got into none of them. Why? Because he's Asian. He is Asian. And that worked against him. I even tried to kind of call on the few resources that I have that tried to see if there was anything that could be done. And literally, I'm not kidding. I mean, had he not marked Asian on his applications, his dad's Hispanic. So had he marked Hispanic, he probably would have got into all those places. Isn't that crazy? That's real stuff. If any of you have kids going to college or kids that have gone to college and you've experienced anything like that, let me know. I'd be very interested. Anyway, I don't know why I got sidetracked on that. All right, what I wanted to talk about was, all these protests that are going on in these colleges and really all over the world practically on the pro-Palestine side. First of all, lately, all of a sudden, there's these death to America chants coming. That is just ridiculous. First of all, it's completely unacceptable. You should not be chanting death to America. There's no reason for that. And that is not the right sentiment. And again, I really need to try and figure out a way to message this that doesn't cause the people and the country to be at odds with each other. It's a select group of people in our government that causes this kind of stuff. So, those chants and all of that stuff, it's unnecessary. First of all, it's just not appropriate. I just want to be straight up on that. And then secondly, it doesn't serve your cause, and not only does it not serve your cause, but that's not really even the message you should be trying to get across. It doesn't have anything to do with that. And then secondly, this entire situation, it's really a human rights thing. It really is a human rights thing. Now, there's a tremendous amount of backstory, and obviously I've covered a lot of it in the various discussions about the situation between, Israel and the Palestinian people taking place in the Gaza Strip. And, we still haven't really talked about the West Bank much. But anyway, my point overall is that a lot of people that are on both sides of this argument, they don't understand what they're really even arguing about and what the history of this entire region and conflict and everything that's taking place. They don't have a true sense of that history. Now, again, I've talked a lot of episodes about this, and probably the most impactful was the one I did talking about the Balfour Declaration from 1917, and then also going to kind of what Harry S. Truman did and said in 1948. But there's even more to that. And then again, regardless, I feel like these kids that are advocating for, let's say they're pro-Palestine, I don't even know if they really understand what that means. I think they just don't like seeing innocent women and children being killed. I mean, it really comes down to that. Who does like seeing that? I mean, seriously, who likes seeing that? But I've had a lot of discussions actually with young kids in the younger generation, like 18 to 25. And again, where I net out on my talks with them is that they don't have an understanding of the back history for sure, but neither do Gen X people. But what they're judging their current stance on is just what they're seeing play out. You see what I mean? They're seeing, the area of Gaza just being destroyed. 70% of the buildings now are unlivable, and that place is never getting fixed. I don't think that place is ever going to be normal. So they're basically protesting that, if that was happening in Ethiopia, they would be pro-Ethiopia. If that was happening in Sudan, which actually it is happening in Sudan, they would advocate for that. So it's not necessarily that they're pro-Palestinian. They're pro not liking what they're seeing, and that's what they're advocating for. But this thing has gotten so twisted and so just muddled that it causes people to be pitted against each other really for the wrong reasons. So anyway, that was a little bit confusing, I know, but I'm going to try and like flesh this out a little bit more and see if I can just add some clarity, because again, I think what's going on there, I think what's going on the southern border of the United States with the fentanyl crisis, that's confusing everybody. I think what's going on in so many different areas is so muddled. But if we just attack it issue by issue, piece by piece, call a spade, seriously, like call a spade, flesh out the truth, and then, hey, this is the truth. This is what's going on. And then you decide which side you want to support. You know what I mean? That to me works. So anyway, I'm going to try and flesh that out a little bit more. But yeah, I hate seeing it's just a lot of like unnecessary confusion right now, and misplaced anger and misplaced hatred between the various divisions and groups of people, especially the ones that are just taking in the highlights. All right, next topic, Trump's trial. It looks like they've picked a jury. I don't know what's going to happen with this. I really don't. I would be very surprised if he wins and basically nothing sticks on this. And I hate to say it, if that happens, man, I don't know. I'm not even going to say it actually, but man, this thing is just, it's a mess. It's a mess, and it's going to get messier. All right, next topic, revisiting very quickly. I'm on episode 3 of Made in America OJ, and holy mackerel, OJ was not a good dude. Wow, it's really, really, oh man, I am totally hooked on this thing. It's really interesting to just see the backstory. And God, he went from when OJ was in high school and college, man, he was like a gentle giant then. But the fame and everything definitely, I don't know if it changed him or it brought out maybe who he really was, but episode 2 was pretty brutal with the audio footage they have of all the times Nicole called 911 and all the domestic violence situations they had at the house. Man, that was like, I really did not know the extent of that story. But anyway, I'll report back some more. It is highly, highly interesting though. All right, next thing, a little bit of cool news for your boy. I got my author's proof copy from Amazon of Deep Shallow Dive Into You in paperback. And man, that was pretty cool. They basically print you a copy of your book. They charge you for it, but it's basically just to cover the cost. And it gives you a chance to look at your book as a real book and, go through it and see if it printed the way you want and all that. I will say I'm trying to make some decisions on my paperback. I've printed it in color, which is more expensive, but it's nice. It looks nice. Like the graphics look really good and all that. And then this is hilarious. So I'm going to do a hardcover as well. And I went to price it out printing a hardcover. And basically I lose like 80% of my royalty by printing in color in hardcover. It's insane. Like the cost of the book goes like 10x higher. Like it's crazy. So I don't think I'm going to do color on the hardcover, but on the paperback, I might keep it because it looks good. I'm actually curious if any of you are big buyers of books. Do you buy paperback or do you buy hardcover? Like, what do you like to buy? Maybe I don't even need one or the other, although I'm going to do them both, because I will say what is very cool about Amazon, and the same applies to another company called Ingram Spark, which I'm also going to put the book there, is, they're print on demand. I may have talked about this before, but there's no real upfront fee to list your book there. And basically, when somebody buys it, they print it on demand and then ship it out in, I think, 2 or 3 days. So like, for example, I placed my proof order on when did I place it? I placed it on Monday and I received it on Thursday. So, not bad for printing a book from scratch like that. But anyway, that was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to kind of see it in book form. It's one thing to read a PDF on your laptop and look at a graphics file, but it's another thing to have a physical, tangible copy of your book in your hand. That was pretty cool. So anyway, we're getting close on that. And last but not least, I should have did this at the beginning of the episode. Dang, I'm such a dummy. But happy birthday to my brother Bob. Many of you who know me probably know him over the years, and his birthday was yesterday, April 18th. And so a happy one-day belated birthday to my brother, whom I absolutely love dearly. As I always have said in various Facebook and Instagram posts over the years, I won when it comes to the brother category. And I really did. He is such a great brother. Anyway, that's it, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Call a spade, and we will catch up with you soon.
The ending was terrific.
This episode is being brought to you by the upcoming book, Deep Shallow Dive Into You. That's right, Bro wrote a book, and it's coming soon. Stay tuned.